What's up guys, your friendly neighbor Demon here bringing a new video, and today we're going to be talking about the next event, big event coming up. Obviously we got the Blast Spring group still going on at the moment. EG are playing G2 later, and whoever wins that series will go on to play Complexity. That's group B. Still got another group left. Navi, MIBR, FaZe and Liquid. Still mad excited about this FaZe Liquid lineup. But we still got that going on. That will probably be done by the end of this week. It should be done by the end of this week. Group C should be done. Got Sweet Snow still going on. Fun Plus Phoenix and Gambit just here in the, I believe, the grand final of it. Yep, the grand final, playing off for the big 40k. But the next event we actually have coming up is tier 1 event, is the IEM Katowice. I don't know how you actually say it. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. Any Polish men out here? We have IEM Katowice, and in fact, what's crazy is we have a play-in and the actual event, and both sides is absolutely stacked. Let's look at the play-in first and just have a look at these teams just here. Let's close that for a sec. This is just to get into the actual event, man. Look at this. You've got Big, Liquid, VP, Mouse Sports, Fnatic, OG, Cloud9, Complexity. Look at all these teams just trying to get into the main event. It's quite cool they actually have a play-in event. It makes it feel like kind of like a major kind of thing where they have the challenger stage and whatnot. This is sort of the preliminary stage to make it to the big time, the big event. It's quite exciting, really. It's I believe it's just a single bracket. No, it's a double elimination bracket. So let me just work this out a sec. Okay, yeah, so double elimination bracket. Obviously, winners of these series will go on to the upper quarterfinals, and if you win your upper quarterfinal, you'll make it to the playoffs or to the actual main event. And then if you lose the first series, you'll go to the lower round. You have to win the lower round one, and then play the teams that lose in the upper quarterfinals to try and make it into the final places to actually get into the main event. But there's so many teams to talk about here. And in the main event, obviously we have last year's winner. Obviously this is a huge deal, sort of the only big LAN last year, and this is when COVID was actually just starting to get bad, and obviously they cancelled. There was the whole thing of cancelling the crowd and everything like that. But Navi, we all know Navi won that event. Probably the most significant event of last year, for sure, no doubt. It will ring that event will ring in everyone's minds, man. With the as I said, the cancelling of the crowd and whatnot. But obviously we got another stacked 8 teams to meet the 8 teams that will qualify through the play-in. We've got Astralis, Navi, Vitality, the top 3 teams in the world at the moment, or top 3 ranked teams in the world. Heroic, we got here Furia, G2, EG, and FaZe. I'm surprised to see FaZe in here in the main event already, because they're compared. You compare them to pretty much anyone on here. Well, okay, the majority of the teams in here, you'd think that FaZe are not nearly as good as some of these teams on the play-in event. So, but they managed to clearly qualify in some way or shape or form. I'm not sure. Road to Katowice. These must have been the ESL events last year, to do with RMR or something like that, and how they qualified. I'm not 100% sure. But FaZe are here. Exciting to have this lineup. Obviously, as we said, we're gonna see them in Blast groups in not too long of a time. We're gonna see them play against Liquid on a Friday at 6:30. I'm very excited about that. So that'll be their debut, but we'll see them again in the next event. On this is starting on the 18th. The play-in is starting on the 16th, I believe. Yeah. So 2-day event for the play-in, and then the big event, the big money event, starting on the 18th. But let's just take a look at some of the teams that are actually playing here then. Starting from the bottom, interestingly, we have and another Aussie team on the scene. This is great that we don't just have to see. I mean, I love Extreme, but it's cool to see another sort of oceanic region. Is it New Zealand? Oh, it is Australia. Australian team for sure. Although they have got one New Zealander, I swear. There you go, New Zealand. It'll be cool to see them play. Obviously, Dexter's actually linked with a potential move to Mouse Sports. That could be interesting. Are they playing each other? Oh my god, they're actually playing each other. That's amazing. That'll be interesting. But yeah, Dexter's actually linked with a potential move to Mouse Sports, so that'll be definitely interesting. Obviously, Carrigan is also potentially moving to FaZe, but we don't know yet. We'll see. It's all up in the air still. I doubt anything will be announced before this event or before Katowice, since Renegades won't have a replacement for Dexter almost definitely lined up. So they'll definitely play. I can imagine they'll definitely play through Katowice before any changes appear. But it's cool to see them in there. We've got a Polish team in here, Whistler Krakow. Yep, I mean, there's nothing really expected from them, I guess. They're ranked 133 in the world. They haven't played really since. They haven't played a lot since December. It looks like a couple of Premier European Development Championship. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about them. I don't know what to expect. I expect them to not do particularly well, to be honest. But we'll see. They maybe cause an upset. We got two Brazilian teams representing out here. Team 1, obviously they were playing in all the NA events last year, when it was split between EU and NA, and it's cool to see them over here and to see how they do against the EU competition. MIBR, the new MIBR squad. We've already seen them play in Europe at, what was it, CS Summit. They did an okay job. They took a series off FaZe. They took a map off Heroic the second time around and a map off Cloud9. So a respectable debut, I guess, in Europe. We know that Bolts is a is a seasoned guy. So we'll see what they can do in their continued practice in the EU and see what they can come up with. Movie Star Riders. This is a real fun one to me. Obviously, we got Smooya representing the Brits. Probably the only Brit in this. No. What am I talking about? Cloud9 has Brits. We'll get onto that though. They did just lose to Sinners on Vertigo today in the European Development Championship. But we'll see how they do in this play-in. Who are they facing off against first? Big. Okay, that's an interesting matchup. Smooya against his former Tier 1 team, who he made the Cologne final with. That's a very interesting matchup. I don't really expect them to make it past all these huge teams, even if they beat Big, which is unlikely, number 4 team in the world. They'll have to play Spirit or Cloud9, some very potent, talented teams. Obviously, they have to face up against. Why did I close that? I'm an idiot. Cloud9, we saw them at Summit. They did okay. Again, this is a team with a lot of talent. I think everyone was very critical about getting Zephyr in. I don't understand why, because this kid's talented. He just needs some time, potentially, to play in EU a bit more, and he could definitely do some damage. Mezzi in Summit, he was going off. This kid is started to really light up the server. If he can continue that form with Floppy in sort of more star roles, getting these frags done at S-Tag, doing his thing, we could definitely see Cloud9 make it through. Obviously, we just said they're facing against Spirit. It's a hard matchup to start off with, but we'll see. NIP, big news is Twist or ZTR is in for Twist. The NIP just did incredibly good at the spring groups. They beat Astralis and they beat Big, so we expect to see them potentially do more. Hopefully, it's not just a honeymoon period with ZTR, and we actually see them continue to do well. Gambit, who are currently playing Fun Plus Phoenix in Snow Sweet Snow, now moved into Overpass, the last first map. incredibly talented team again, CIS team. Shiro and Inter's incredibly talented people. Hobbit obviously former major winner with Gambit. So we definitely have some talent on this lineup. See what they can do. They could definitely cause an upset and make it through. We'll have to see. Complexity, they are hot off. They've still have one more match today. They're hot off a couple of wins against Vitality and G2 in the Blast Premier Spring Groups. They've got another match later today against G2 or EG, depending on who wins that. Complexity, I kind of expect them to make it through. With Poison back, they just looked so hot. JKS was performing better. The whole team seemed to be in a better mood. They're also in a boot camp situation at the moment, so they're all sitting in the same room playing. Can really change the mood and lift themselves up. Spirit, we know they're good. Dexter, one of their new recruits, insane player. A lot of firepower. Magic, Smear, they're all incredibly good. We'll see how they do. Again, playing against Cloud9, this should be an interesting matchup. OG, what would you say about OG these days? They've been a team for a while now. Last thing they played was Blast Premier Spring Groups, and they lost 2-0 to Big and Astralis, so not a great showing at the Spring Groups at all. As far as I'm aware, they did put up a fight for the majority, going to OT against Astralis and some reasonably close games against Big. They just don't seem to have that X factor still. They seem to be a stable team, they just don't have that extra salt or special sauce to have. I think I've said this before, to have them sort of move up a bit. Fnatic, we got Jaquinho, who was recently replaced, Flusher, and he performed pretty good. I mean, CS Summit, they had a really great run, eventually losing to Virtus Pro. I think, was that in the final? Yeah, they actually made it to the finals, CS Summit. So really positive signs, beating Heroic, C9, Complexity. This is with the standing, and OG with Jaquinho. Some really good early signs. It's cool to see the Swedes switching up and finding some new talent in these big Swedish orgs, or I don't know if they're Swedish orgs, but I can't even remember where they're from. But bringing ZTR in and bringing Jaquinho and bringing some new blood in, it's really good to see. Mouse Sports, obviously we said before, Carrigan potentially going to phase, as we know. Acor, obviously their new star AWPer. We know he can do damage. Let's see if he can actually perform better, because previously he didn't really perform at CS Summit as far as I can remember. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, so he had a bit of an up and down time at CS Summit. Some really poor ratings versus Pro, and a bit of a poor one versus Heroic and FaZe. So a bit inconsistent at the moment, but we'll probably see him integrated better and better at every match and every event. So we'll see how that happens and how he develops. But we know he's a very good player. He's obviously incredible movement in the game. Two of the best movement players in the game, Rops and Acor, on the same team. We don't play KZ in the games, but it's cool to see them together. VP, they just won Summit against Fnatic, as we just saw. They've moved them way back up to number 6 in the rankings. I expect them to do well for sure. They're playing Wisdom Krakow, it looks like, in the first matchup, which should be easy enough for them. I don't see them losing that at all. They're an incredibly good team. Yakandar is insane. James, a pretty solid AWPer, and then Buster and Kicker really making the moves and having impact, and Sanji, the guy that just does the dirt for them. Liquid, I mean, as we know, Fallen got added earlier in the year. They had a decent showing at the Blast Premier Global Final. They beat Na'Vi in their first round with Fallen. They lost to Vitality, but this match was pretty close as far as I remember. Yeah, 16-14, 16-11. Really respectable against Vitality, number 2 team in the world. Number 3 team? I can't remember. BEG, good for them to beat their the compatriots, is that the word? And then they lost the eventual winners, Na'Vi, I think in the semi-final. I think it was the semi-final. No, it was the sort of the quarter-final. But not a bad run, not a bad first showing with Fallen. Looks like they play MIBR in their first matchup, which is interesting, with Fallen against his old teammate Bolts. Brazilian matchup just there, so I'm sure Fallen and MIBR actually, the big story is Fallen is playing against his old org that he left because he disagreed with the way the org was handling things. So that's actually quite a storyline just there. So no, wait, so Liquid's first two games or next two matches against MIBR, Fallen's former org, who he doesn't agree with, as I said, with the way they were handling things, and then against FaZe, guy that Fallen replaced has gone to FaZe, Twists, and they're gonna play them in the next one as well. That's kind of insane. Wait, this is the wrong way around. No, so the first one is FaZe, and then they'll play MIBR. So what an insane first couple of scheduled matches just there. And then last but not least, we've got a big. They just destroyed everyone in their group at Blast Spring Groups. They lost to NIP in the second round, but they beat OG. They beat Astralis 2-0, and then they went ahead and had the comeback against NIP and what beat them 2-0. So insane stuff from Big just here to actually come back against NIP and beat them and beat Astralis in the same event. They're clearly in form. They've clearly been practicing. So we'll see what they can do. They should make it through to the main event. And then once we get to the event, we've got all of these teams waiting, man. All of these teams. We've got FaZe with newly added Twists. This won't be their first matches. They'll play in the Blast Premier Spring Groups, as we know. We'll see how they continue to perform with Twists. I think he'll be in a star role. I think he'll be popping off as usual. He clearly performed in the show match that OG and FaZe had a week or two ago. EG, they're still going on in Blast Premier Spring Groups. They beat Vitality yesterday, even though that was without Apex, who's going off some sort of psychological leave. G2, they're also playing. They're playing. These two teams are actually playing each other later today in an hour. We can see how they continue to develop with Nico. It looked like Hunter and Nico were both starting to find a bit more form again. Obviously, Hunter really dropped off after Nico joined the team because he took a lot of Hunter's spots, etc. But it looks like Hunter's actually starting to pick it up again. They lost the complexity, but we'll see how they do against EG later. Furia, are they actually going to play with Junior now? As far as I'm aware, they will be. I haven't heard anything otherwise. So this is kind of an exciting time if Junior's playing. The first time we get to see Junior in the lineup and how he performs, especially against EU teams, that'll be incredibly interesting. How's he going to compare to Henny? They'll be switching to English communication, interestingly enough, which could throw a spanner in the works, but I'm sure all of them are used to speaking English by now, playing in EU and playing FPL and everything like that. Heroic, they're still one of the top teams for sure. They still had the firepower. See, at Summit, they had a good run. Although the teams they beat MIBR, the new MIBR roster, and then OG lost to Fnatic and Mouse Sports. So they're still definitely up there. Nothing else really to report. They've been the same 5-man for a while now. Vitality, I assume. Actually, this is interesting whether Apex will actually come back into the roster before IEM Katowice. It wasn't specified how long Apex would be out for. It was a surprise yesterday that he was actually not playing for Vitality, and it was this 5-man lineup. Sinavera standing in permanently for now. Obviously it's a 6-man roster, so it's not really a stand-in, but yeah, you know what I mean. Na'Vi, can they continue dominance that they had in the Blast Global Finals? Look at the way beat. Look at this run, man. Complexity, G2, Liquid, Vitality, Astralis in the final. Insane stuff. They're playing against MIBR in their Premier Spring Groups opening match, but we're definitely looking forward to see how they can still perform. Astralis, they did not perform at their Blast Premier Spring Groups. As far as I'm aware, they didn't qualify for the spring final just yet. They're just in the showdown, so that's quite surprising for Astralis. I don't know how long it's been since they had to do that kind of thing and play in a last chance qualifier kind of thing. But still the 5-man lineup of that we know, with Bubsky on the side, just sort of kind of there, occasionally playing Nuke. Not really part of the roster in my opinion. kind of a weak 6-man, unlike Vitality, and a developing Na'Vi with obviously Bits only playing Inferno at the moment, but I'm sure they'll start to really work him in a bit more. Yeah, I'm not sure what to expect from Astralis, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, really looking forward to this event. We'll see what kind of damage the teams can do. As we know, as we said, we've got this play-in with 16 teams trying to make it into the final 16. So we'll get eight of these teams knocked out, and then 8 of them go through to meet the 8 that have already qualified. Exciting stuff. I'm not sure on the format. Double elimination groups going into a single elimination bracket for the last few teams just here. So yeah, it's going to be some exciting stuff. There's a lot. It's definitely the first like big event of the season with all these teams taking part. It's so cool to see 16 teams again taking part in an event rather than these sort of smaller groups and stuff like that. So it's incredibly exciting. But we'll see. I'm really looking forward to it. There's a lot of cool things to think about. Complexities come back with Poison. Smooth on movie star for me. Renegades, cool to see them. NIP's development, Fanatics development, Liquid with Fallen. Yeah, there's so many things going on. So let me know what you think in the comments. Please subscribe for more, and we will see you soon.